Hey y'all, I'm back with another episode of Because I've Healed. This is actually episode 30. And now when I restarted my podcast, rebranded, actually, this is just a whole new podcast. I thought to myself, I'm going to do it every week. And I have not published an episode every week, but nevertheless, I am still very proud of myself that this is episode 30. So I appreciate you for coming along on this journey with me for 30 episodes. Not related to the 30 episodes, but maybe I should tie it all in together. I'm really excited to announce a new group program that I'm running beginning January 2025. And it is all about connecting to your intuition through ancestral healing. I cannot wait to tell you all about it, to give you all the details, and to invite you to join me. So right after this intro, come right back and I'll give you the deets. Welcome to Because I've Healed, the podcast where we talk about shaking the chains of expectations placed on us by the world. My name is Asha Wilkerson, and I'm a former high-achieving attorney and college professor turned healing-focused life coach for Black women. Each week, I'm bringing you a life lesson that started with healing. Not only will I explain the chains I was able to break, but also the success I experienced after. Let's get to healing. All right, let's get right into it. So first, I've been going back and forth on the title, Intuitive Connection through Ancestral Healing. That's what came to me a couple months ago. But recently I've been going back and forth because as I've been writing to my email list and explaining what intuitive connection is, I've been talking more about the intuitive connection part than I have the ancestral healing. But as I sat down today, I thought, okay, how am I going to break it down and make it all make sense? And what I realized is that we have lost our intuitive connection over the years, not just in our lifetime, but over lifetimes, because we have gotten so much further away from what our ancestral and our cultural practices are. Now, every child that is born has intuition. You got to figure out how to survive. It's like instincts, right? You cry when you're hungry. You know that if you make noise, someone's going to come to you. That's a part of the intuition that runs through your body, that is innate in you, that is encoded in your DNA. But as technology has developed, as cars have gotten faster, as telephones have gotten more communicative, as planes have gone from one country to another, we have gotten further and further away from our ancestral practices. In some sense, you can call it noise, but in another sense, technology has made things so much more convenient and quicker that we haven't needed to rely on our ancestral practices in the survival sense. A lot of us, many of you listening, are interested in going back to your roots. You're starting to make some of the tinctures or the soups or the medicina that your grandmother made or that your great auntie made when you would get sick, right? You're giving them to your kids now and you're giving them to yourself. You're thinking about slowing down. You're going back to cooking the food that takes hours, half a day, maybe all day to cook, and moving away from the fast food. Now, part of that is because you want to feel more connected to your ancestors, but the other part of that is because there is just healing and magic in the way that things used to be done. When we have to slow down, we can hear ourselves think, we can make connections, we get to rest, and things move more quickly than if we just keep running, right? Even though we think that if we keep running, and we have all these convenient things and these quick things, that we'll actually get further ahead. I think it's actually the opposite for us. So as I have designed this group, Intuitive Connection through Ancestral Healing, it is about, in part, going back to reconnect ourselves to our ancestors and re-heal or repair some of those relationships, not because they're necessarily bad, but maybe because they've just been broken because, I don't know, it's quicker to go through a drive-through or to go to Walgreens to get some medicine than it is to take the time to make the tea, the lemon, ginger, honey, and cayenne pepper tea that is going to clear out your sinuses and make you feel better. right? So, as we think about rebuilding our intuitive connection, I also want us to think about it as strengthening the bridge or closing that gap between our ancestral practices as well. But here's what the 12-week program looks like: it is going to be focused on helping you hear and trust and take action on what your intuition is telling you. Now, because of all the noise that I talked about earlier, for many of us, it's hard to even hear what our intuition is saying. Or if you're like me, you might have gotten an intuitive nudge or have many intuitive nudges, but your logic brain takes over and you're like, I don't know that that makes sense. Well, oftentimes intuition doesn't make sense in the moment, but it makes sense in hindsight. It doesn't follow logic. Intuition is about connecting to some kind of energetic message that is all around you. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did like an energy one-on-one workshop, 101, not one-on-one, an energy 101 workshop. It was called, what was it called? Energy Healing for the Skeptics, the Saints, and the Seekers. It was basically a breakdown. And we started with understanding that scientifically speaking, from the study of physics, our bodies have energetic connections. We have like an electric circuit, many electrical circuits within us. And those electrical circuits allow us to interact with the energy around us. And these circuits expand outside of us into the atmosphere. And if our bodies contain energetic and electric circuits, it also makes sense that we would be able to perceive the energetic and electric circuits that are also around us, whether it's in a hard object like this desk that I'm sitting in, another person, you can feel their energy. If you're a mother, you know that you can feel the energy of your kids, or if you're a child, you know you are a child, you know that you can feel the energy of your parents. Maybe when someone walks into a room, you feel the energy change. Those are the messages, those are the ways that you perceive intuition. That's what intuition is. It's being able to understand and pick up on the changes in the energy around you. But again, because we have so much technology now, we don't have to think about our distant relative. We can just pick up the phone and call them because we're just busy and on the go. We have lost our ability to perceive the energy that's around us. So, in our 12 weeks together, I'm going to actually teach you how to tap into your intuition, how to turn up the dial so that you can perceive what is happening around you. And then we're going to work on learning how to trust it. And it's one thing to hear it. You probably hear it all the time, but do you trust it? We are socialized very early on not trusting our energy, whether it's our parents telling us to do what they say instead of doing something that we know is right for us, or whether we are taught to be polite in certain situations because that's what we're supposed to do. And that's the polite, the manners thing to do, even though we know that this person or this situation is uncomfortable, or whether we have learned to just go along to get along at the job because we're trying to preserve our career, as opposed to following our gut and our intuition and doing things the way that we know that they should be done. We have lost that ability to trust our intuition. So we're going to build trust in our intuition. And the only way that you can do that is really by testing it, choosing to trust it, and then see what happens. Choose again and see what happens. And when you keep doing that, you will build up the muscle inside of you that trusts your intuition automatically. And then we'll start to take some action on what the intuition tells you to do, right? You build up the trust and then you start making decisions following your intuition. And now everybody's going to go at their own pace. Some of you may make big decisions within our 12-week container. Some of you, it may take 12 months because you need a little bit more time, a little bit more runway to get to the decision making that you want. But all of us are going to end up making decisions after we have built up the trust in our intuition. And I am so excited for this container because these are the same steps that I went through to be able to move abroad to Lisbon, to leave my full-time teaching job. This year coming up, I'm going inactive on my legal license, my license to practice law in California, and I am like so relieved. Today I was walking through a bookstore here in Lisbon, and two of them actually, and they have a whole legal section. And I just remember looking at the penal code here and the employment code here, and I just felt like, oh my God, I have absolutely zero desire to go back into that world at all. I had to trust my intuition when I decided that I was going to end up leaving my single mom behind in Portland while I crossed the Atlantic Ocean. And it wasn't that I decided to leave my mom behind, it's that I decided to follow my intuition to move to Lisbon. And this was also part of what happened. My mom would still be in Portland by herself. So it's not that, I hope that distinction makes sense. It's not that I chose to do something to my mom, but I followed a path. And this is one of the circumstances of the choice that I made. Whatever that looks like for you, you could be thinking of moving to another country and you're just not sure where to go or how to do it. You could be thinking about ending that romantic relationship that you're in. You could be thinking about, how do I change the really difficult relationship with my parents? You could be thinking about, I just want to get more connected with my intuition. I want to develop that self-trust. I want to trust my ancestors. Any of those situations makes you a perfect candidate to join the 12-week group healing program, the 12-week intuitive connection program. So let me tell you a little bit about the details. So this program is 3 months or 12 weeks, and we are going to meet for the first 3 Saturdays of the month. And the reason why I put it on Saturdays is because you don't have that much that should get in your way on Saturdays. You should be able to join, as opposed to like trying to hurry up and come from work or taking time in the middle of the day during the work week. So Saturdays, we're going to meet. The first 2 Saturdays of the month are going to be trainings and workshops. So I'm going to actually teach you about the physics, the science behind intuitive connection. I'm going to teach you about practices that you can adapt and make into your own to strengthen your intuitive connection. I'm going to teach you how to build up the energy in your own body so that the energy that you perceive feels stronger. I'm going to help you with the basics, with the foundation. I'm not just going to tell you, oh, go and meditate for an hour. I don't meditate for an hour. I also need to understand how things work for me to be able to trust the process. So that's exactly what I'm going to give you the first 2 weeks that we meet. The third week of each month that we meet, we'll be doing a breathwork session. And I love breathwork for hearing your intuition and connecting to your ancestors, because when you focus on the breathing, things happen in the background that you don't have to do. They just happen. So your brain will go into a relaxed state. You'll feel very peaceful, very calm. And then you'll just start to make connections. Light bulbs will start to go off. You'll start to realize things. You might hear whispers from your spirit guides, your ancestral team, but it all goes together and just really solidifies what you've been working on in the weeks prior. If you cannot make a session, they will all be recorded, and I will put them in my course portal that you have access to as soon as you join the program. In between sessions, I will also be giving you journal prompts, reflection questions, worksheets, and workbooks so that you can choose which modality you want to use to help you in between our sessions. And if you don't use any of those resources, it's okay, because your mind, your brain, your spirit will still be making these connections in between our sessions. I'll tell on myself, when I was going through my own training and taking my own classes, we were always given homework to do. And it wasn't like we were graded on it or anything like that. It was a practice. And maybe I would remember if classes were on Saturdays, I'd do it Sunday and I'd do it Monday, and then I'd forget. But by the time I came back around the next week, there were still changes that I had experienced, even though I had forgotten to do my practice. So don't feel like you have to be able to do all the questions or respond to all of the journal prompts to make a change or to experience some changes in your life. That's not true. It's going to happen anyway, because you're focusing your energy and your intention on expanding your ability to perceive, your ability to connect with your intuition. In addition, we'll have a community Slack channel, which I'm so excited about because when the community gets popping, when people get chatting and stuff like that, I am so excited to hear about the wins that you all have, the questions that you have, the epiphanies that you have, and just whatever else you want to share with this group in your 12 weeks together. Let me see. Is there anything else that I can add to that? Oh, if you pay in full, you will be able to join a group tarot card pool, which is super powerful. I will pull a tarot card for each person that is in the Zoom room together, and it will be a reading for the collective as we begin and start our journey together. So now that I've mentioned paying in full, let me tell you what it is to pay in full. If you register by December 31st, it's $1,200 for our 12 weeks together. If you register on January 1st or after, then it jumps up to $1,500. And payment plans are available for both. If you sign up in December, you get a 4-month payment plan. If you sign up in January, you get a 3-month payment plan. So it should be accessible. I hope that it's accessible. If it's not financially accessible to you, I want you to send me a message that we can talk about it. And please don't feel any shame or vergüenza about the price. I really want to make sure that if you want to be in this container, you can join this container. So send me a message on Instagram at Asha Wilkerson ESQ, and we'll talk about the price points for you. We will start this container on January 26th, which is a Saturday. And again, if you cannot make a call, they will all be recorded for you to go back and take a look at. I am really, really excited about this group container. I have been diving deep into my own ancestral connection, and I've had more than a few readings in the last few weeks. And one of the first readings I had, he told me, I said, I keep waking up. This has been years now. I keep waking up between 4 o'clock and 5:30 in the morning. I just cannot sleep. And the reader said, yeah, that's because your ancestors are trying to talk to you. I said, I know. They've been trying to talk to me for the past 3 years and I don't hear anything. And he said, it's because you don't ask a question. oh, just gonna come for me, huh? And it was kind of true. My general question to my ancestors when I would wake up was just, okay, I'm awake. I hear you. What do you want to tell me? And I wouldn't really hear anything. I also wouldn't get out of bed because I was tired and really just wanted to go back to sleep. But after that reading, a couple times I did get up out of bed and I just went to go sit with my journal. And sometimes I would play some bird sounds to help my body relax. But what I realized is that my ancestors want to co-create with me. And so as I started asking questions, more specific questions about how do you want me to show up? What do you want me to share? I kept getting in my mind, but also when I would pull tarot cards about being a teacher, being a hierophant that kept popping up for me. I am a teacher. I'm a college professor. Even before that, I would always teach exercise classes. When I was a kid, I would draw up little lesson plans and things like that. Teaching is in my DNA. And I have this ability to make these things that are complicated really simple and easily digestible. Now, the Hierophant card in tarot is like a religious teacher, somebody who makes these religious practices and teachings accessible to the public. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm not thinking about church, even though I did used to lead children's church when I was in my mid 20s, but I'm thinking about these spiritual, sort of esoteric, ancestral healing things that I really feel like it is my calling to make these intuitive practices easily accessible to my community. So this container is co-created with my ancestors to help my women friends, particularly my Black and Brown friends, get back to our roots, to get back to our cultures, to get back to our indigenous practices, to be able to turn up the volume on our intuition, to really just integrate all parts of ourselves as we move and groove throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, throughout our lives. It is about bridging, about bringing all of these pieces that are a part of us together so that we can really move as one mind, body, and spirit. Not like you and me necessarily moving together, but within you, I don't want you to think, oh, that's just my intuitive brain working, or that's my logical brain. And then here's my physical body, and then here's my mental body. I want you to think about all parts of yourself with fluidity. And I want you to learn how to allow your intuition to speak to you as you are taking care of your physical body. I want you to listen to your mental health needs as you are planning the next educational or career step that you want to take. I want you to be able to bridge all of these things together. And the first step that I have created around this is this group intuitive healing container where you will turn up the dial on your intuition and become an intuitive woman who no longer second guesses herself, who no longer questions whether she's doing the right thing, who no longer has to run to other people to seek validation or confirmation, but an intuitive woman who is connected to her purpose, knows what decisions that she wants to make, and makes them from a place of feeling empowered, grounded, loved, divinely connected, and strong. So that's what we are doing. If you are interested in learning more about the group program or want to join the group program, please go to my website, ashawilkerson.com/group. If you join before December 31st, you get to join the container for $1,200, whether you pay in full or pay over time. If you join after January 1st, no problem, but the price goes up to $1,500. I am so excited to have you in this container. I cannot wait to work with you. I cannot wait to help you reconnect and trust your intuition so that you can become the intuitive woman that you are designed to be. All right, I will see you next week. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. The best way to keep in touch is to go to my website, ashawilkerson.com, and join my email list. If you'd like more information about this episode that you just listened to, head to the show notes and you'll find all the details and all the links. See you next week.